You are listening to Three Wave Trades. These are the liquid stocks with liquid options, the liquid ETFs with liquid options that we curate for you from our list every week. And let's start off today with ARK. We're going to go in alphabetical order. We've been tracking ARK for quite a while, and you can see the smooth moves on the Heiken Ashi candlesticks. And of course, the move over that we talked about with you. Not a perfect top here. You know, we didn't have super high volume. We did on the turnaround, or we had average volume on the turnaround. As things were spiking up, we saw this over and over again across the board. This was a big week for volume. That's starting on the 11th of December. Another decent week, the week before it peaked, again, above average volume. The week it peaked, it dropped. And then, of course, we saw things with this little spinning top here, just a little bit of movement up on the top, a lot of down movement there, and then just accelerating down. Beautiful. Let's take a look here at the China fund. I mean, we saw China back in late October and November. And then, of course, starting right at the end of November, things rolling over and going down. And we've talked about China. We've talked about the currency and about following both China, the currency, and following China, the country. I would ask you to go and look at the currency ETF, look at China funds, and see how those match up together. And if either one of those gives you a clue on what might be going on in the future, look at how the volume has been accelerating the last 3 weeks as China trundles down. Another one that might be a little bit of a bellwether for you is look at gold miners and compare that to gold. Why don't we do that for you? Here's gold over the last 2 weeks. Again, you can see where gold bouncing off this ceiling. That goes all the way back. We've talked about this a lot. Back in May of last year, and how gold popped up 1, 2, 3, 4, and now is rolling over. And of course, when you look at GDX, isn't it fascinating to see, again, how nice and clear and clean that was when it rolled over? Again, you did have volume where it peaked just above average. We didn't have above average volume, though, with the turnover, but it is increasing. So again, you know, look for things that give you a portend, a view potentially of the future, and see how they help you. It's not always going to be perfect, but if you study it, if you put it in your notebook, and if you, again, look back at that and learn by doing, it can be very, very helpful. What do we see going on with high-yield corporate bonds? They just, I mean, again, beautiful, the last turn down, the last turn up. Then they stuttered. Then they just aren't quite getting it going. Today, they're just up 0.18%. Waiting to see what's going to happen here. Again, volume's not helping us out in here, but we might see things start dying on the vine and then rolling over and really hammering down. Or it could simply digest all these gains, because that was quite a move up over many, many weeks, and then maybe catch fire again. We'll wait, watch, and see. Now, here's an interesting one. This is the Russell 2000. We saw the Russell 2000 again. I keep telling you about that week where we had a lot of volume, the week beginning the 11th of December. As we got to the end of the year, the volume decreased, but price went higher. Then, of course, what did we see with average volume of spinning top? So many times that spinning top is such a tell. Those of you know about gambling and how some gamblers can really give you a tell as to what they're thinking. Maybe they scratch the left side of their cheek, or they suck in through their teeth, or they move around in their chair. Well, over and over again, these spinning tops can be quite helpful, particularly when you tag them up with high volume on the peak, which we don't see here, but you can see where things are moving down. Let's look at investment grade bonds. Same kind of thing. They peaked up and now they're sliding sideways. What are they getting ready to do? Maybe to crash, maybe just to digest and move up. Look at all of that volume last week. Some crazy stuff. Let's take a look at silver. Look at silver. Look at that. Down for the last 3 weeks. Now, we look at the low last week. That low was 2057. 20.54. So we have reached a little bit lower of a low by 3 cents. But again, that's good to see. Up some for the day, almost 1% up in silver. You can see where later in the day silver is moving up. But again, important to note, we're paying attention to what's going on with gold, looking at what's going on with silver. And again, it got real unstable in here after it peaked up. Now see, here's your telltale. This is what many, many times works. You have this higher than average volume peaking up and then a spinning top going down. Then it went even further down the next week, then scared a lot of people out as it tried to gain some leverage and then just could not do it. And now moving down, but not even average volume. So again, we don't have to do anything but take the trades that set up perfect. Why take anything but a perfect trade on a great chart? That makes sense? You don't have to. The thing about us as non-professional traders is we don't have to take trades that are iffy. We can wait till things set up perfect. And then, of course, limit our downside by using 1 ATR on the 2-day chart. And, of course, on our upside, sell half our position when we hit the profit at 1 ATR and let the rest of it ride. Okay, lastly, let's look at the energy sector. Energy sector tried to gain a little energy beginning in December and then has been dying. Look at all this down movement. And look at the volume last week. We'll see if we hit that same volume. We could hit it or even go higher with 1 day left. Now, let's move from ETFs and we'll blow through these stocks in a reasonable manner. We'll start with Apple. You saw Apple, for many weeks. Again, see how beautiful this was? We hit the bottom here. We had a lot of down movement on average. Then we had things at earnings with a doji. So you had people buying as other people were selling. You had almost nothing there as far as the candle goes. And then the next week, things popped up nicely all the way up. Look at where they peaked. Then they started to slow down. Again, we didn't get high volume in that move down until we got to average volume that first week in January. And then things moved. And see, that not a perfect entry point by far, because you can see now things are sort of stalling and bumping out. We have a spinning top now with almost average volume. So we'll see where Apple's going to go. Look at Boeing. If you've been paying attention to the news, you, of course, Boeing up, and then things got bad. Now, this is on bad news. You didn't have a peak with volume. You had things rotating over as maybe the insiders got some idea that Boeing was having problems. And then all of a sudden, just tearing down. Now, it did rebound quite nicely for the day, 4.22%. What about Carnival Cruise Lines? Now, look at this chart. Is this just not absolutely gorgeous? Not so pretty back here. We go back over a year, but look at where it took off, where it rotated over, where it took off, and where it's tried to turn down again. I mean, again, that's just beautiful. We'll take a look at DraftKings. Of course, DraftKings popped up there in November and, again, didn't have any of the telltale volume until we got to the turnover down. And, again, slowly, steadily down. Not a great deal. And now we're starting to get, for the day, up 7.04%. Again, one thing you should be learning from this is when we tend to have the volume that goes along with the candlesticks, we have a nice clean break and things move over with high volume, then we tend to have trades over and over again that are much more likely to work. We look at where we are with Ford Motor Company. Of course, it turned over, moved up for several weeks, and now is rotating back over. Again, we don't see the volume peak there that we like. Don't even see it there with the doji, although it's decent volume, does appear to be accelerating down for the day alone, 2.44%. Just a few more. We'll take a look at Palantir. I always want to say Plantar. Palantir Technologies. We saw where it moved up and, of course, rolled over, has been going down for a while. It really peaked and it's down the first week of the year and has just sort of been sliding sideways. You can see it here on the 2-day charts. All these dojis trying to figure out which way it's going to go. Rocket companies, We talked about this, when this turned over and started moving up on earnings, moved up nicely, then shot up at the end of the year, and then, of course, rolled over and died. It is up for the day about 1%, but boy, did it pull back. Tesla, it started moving up mid-November, moved up quite nicely, and again, decent volume. When things bottomed, a doji turning things around, and then started moving up, and now has rolled over. Didn't have a peak, and again, we keep going to that week of December the 11th, starting then, where we had the highest volume lately. Went a little bit higher and then rolled over again. Didn't give us a volume sign there as it started to turn down. That is where we are. Again, this video we do each and every week specifically for and only for our members who support us at any of the 3 Patreon levels, and we so appreciate you. We love to hear from you. If you've got certain stocks or ETFs you'd like us to look at for you, and again, dissect, analyze a little bit, happy to do that, just with the caveat that we're not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. We want you to practice trade with us, learn what you're doing, add to that all the other knowledge you have, and only when you feel that you're going to do what you're going to do, you do it yourself. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.